What is a diasporan experience like?
It was a shock.
Identity is at the core of us. We cannot talk about parenting without understanding the backdrop that underpin that parenting.
We're getting more educated and losing our own essence.
If we cannot be proud of who we are, that leads to some form of dislocation with our own selves.
Hello everyone, welcome back to the Diasporan Mom Podcast, the place where we talk about everything parenting in the in-between, where you leave everything the known behind to a new culture, where your village is far away and the one you're in doesn't quite understand. To be truly honest, this is the end of our series 1, and I just can't quite believe it. It's been a joy, tremendous joy to walk with you through these weeks, exploring a range of issues. You know, parenting doesn't come with a manual. We all grow up and learn how to parent from the ways in which we've been parented. But when you leave everything familiar behind, your country, your family, your people, and you move on to a culture that is new, where your support systems are not close by or are not known to you, it feels like you're learning everything all over again, and that includes parenting. You start out from a place where you ought to be the authority as the parent, and you find out you're learning side by side with your with your children, with your families, navigating a whole range of new dynamics. And that isn't easy. So Diasporan Mom has been a place for us to talk about these issues, to explore them as individuals who are going through this, but also as a collective, as a group who share our experiences together. Now, we've been on quite a journey. From the very first episode, One Mom, Two Cultures, Zero Manual. That's where we began this journey of discovery, where we began to think about what it really feels like to be living between the cultures of your home country and the culture where you are now based in, and having to parent and to be the authority and to be the example and to be the knowledgeable one in that space, what that really, really feels like.
And as so many people who have been in the diaspora know, that is exactly how it feels. That shock of leaving all of the known and trying to find roots implanted somewhere else. And for a lot of us, that experience can lead to a lot of dissonance, because you are trying to find a place that you call home, the place of the known, where you feel safe, where you feel secure.
Thereafter, we talked about the diasporan experience. We unpacked the unspoken parts of the culture shock, identity shifts, and the quiet strength within each of us to navigate what is a very, very discombobulating experience.
In trying to understand this new environment that you've come into, you do not just face what I call the mild things from the day to day that you experience, but there are also bigger things that you have to face about yourself, who you are. Chimamanda said in her book that I did not know I was black until I went to America.
Then came the question we asked at some point in that diasporan experience. As a parent, am I doing this right? As we explore the tension between who we were raised to be, how we were raised to be, and now who we are in our new world, and how we are expected to become and to raise the children in our own home.
Expectations, aspirations sometimes can be different between cultures, and the space for what the parent can or cannot do to support their child can be also different as well. Now, why all of this is important is that if we do not have a common understanding of where we are coming from and have respect for the differences and therefore have a wholesome conversation so that we can actually identify where boundaries are, we may be encroaching in spaces that are support.
Through stories of courage and adaptation, We Adapt reminded us that even far from home, parents are building resilience one day at a time. The incredible stories of the inner strength and the adaptability of parents who navigate this in-between world.
America.
I like this idea about the village and building a wider village in the diaspora. And I think it's one of the things that we really perhaps need to work on, because everyone I talk to since I started this podcast, talking to different people, whether they come from Kenya, from Namibia, from Sudan, from Nigeria, from Ghana, there is this essence of Africanness. And sometimes not even just Africa, I would say from the global south, because when I speak to my friend, for instance, who come from India, I find a lot of common ground. And so finding that village away from home that has similar understandings and concepts as you do, I think is really important. And it's really interesting
Thereafter,
to hear
we spoke with our guest, the doula, in Rooted, who invited us to question how we preserve our cultural practices in a fast-changing world, where we balance cultural practices and preserve them in a modern context so that we can continue to reshape the models around us, where the essence and the meaning of support in the cultures that we are remain, even if its performance slightly differs in our modern context.
And I think sometimes, because oftentimes one of the things I also talk about is how our cultures are undermined because we're not using the right language. And people think, oh, it's like I said, underdeveloped, native. You know, we have all these labels. But there is a science behind it, not just communicated in the language that we know. So with you as an educated doula, a lawyer, you can communicate the language. You can communicate the practice exactly in a language that is acceptable and that aligns with what we understand in our modern age. So
And then came the question of identity. That quiet storm that, if not properly addressed, can derail.
And if you are that child navigating that world, what does that do for your person, your sense of self, your personhood? Is there any wonder then that there is a crisis in a lot of migrant communities? Is there any wonder then that we have situations where we have subcultures steeped in crime because young people are trying to find an identity outside of the major culture?
In not quite this, not quite that, and echoes of childhood, we heard voices that spoke of belonging and disconnection, of children trying to find their place in two worlds, and the challenges and the implications of that.
And one of the things I'm really exploring with this podcast is how these issues affect identity, personhood, and how that leads to some of the challenges, the problems we have in our communities in the diaspora. Mental health being one of them. Because, again, mental health is something we don't speak about in our community, especially from Africa. But a lot of the experiences that diasporan kids have relate to the core of who they are. And when you don't have that sense of self, you know, that sense of this is who I am and I am proud of it, you're looking for, you know, things to feel it. And in your case, it was a young man.
In Parenting in the Diaspora, parts 1 and 2, we laughed and cried, hearing stories from parents just like us who prove that community can be built anywhere, and that despite the disorientation and despite the challenges of putting roots down, we can do it. It can be done. And
I want to say they did still have a few shared experiences like her kids, because like for my daughter, going through, I think sports was an outlet. I think our kids, when they get into sports, you know, it kind of gives them a little bit of soft landing. Saying so starting with soccer, we found out that she was good, so we got her into like club soccer. So I think that helped her integrate better because team sports, there's something about sports that gives you, they get into a team and things like that. But she still faced let me say discrimination because
And one of the things
And finally, home is changing too reminded us that while we adjust to new cultures, the homes we left behind are evolving too. Parenting between cultures isn't a challenge just for those of us who've moved away from our countries to new cultures, to new countries. Right in our homes, different cultures stream in. That world is shifting too, even as we are. And therefore, Diasporan Mom is a place for all of us who have to navigate parenting across cultures.
and that is a good thing. But sometimes there were excesses in the sense that within that culture, we didn't necessarily always understand the responses of our children.
Yes.
And because we didn't always understand the responses of our children, we as parents may not have responded appropriately. So as we have better understanding of the minds of a teenager and how all of that works, we are able to support them better.
And yet, the Diasporan Mom podcast isn't just about parenting. It's about identity. It's about connection. It's about shared stories of courage, of strength, stories of adaptability and resilience. It's a victory song that tells us there is hope. We can do it because it has been done. And it is a place where we exhibit and demonstrate the essence of who we are, the essence of our culture, and learn to be proud in ourselves, in our own identities, in our own cultures, while embracing new ideas, the freshness of the new places that we're in, and weaving all of that into a tapestry of beauty that makes us uniquely whole, but deeply and truly rooted in our own selves. No matter where you are in the world, you are not alone. You are part of a village, a global village, raising the next generation across borders with love in a way that ensures that they do not just survive, they thrive. The Diasporan Mom podcast, real stories, shared strength, one global family. Yes, season 1 opened the conversation, and we're looking forward to season 2 now. In season 2, we will redefine what it means. We will draw from real examples, from shared stories. Together, let's create something extraordinary with season 2. I look forward to sharing that with you. Stay tuned. Bye-bye.